taking the emotion out of it, making it something that is affecting society, and here's the data points why. First do is then they start making the pumps that they have to give away for free, which of course are like going backwards. Workplace and HR policy. So is that coming from your individual office? Is it coming from the state? Is it coming from the country? Who's deciding if you can pump, and if it's a human right or not? The social and cultural norms and stigmas. Do you see this in your society? Do you see women walking down the street and working? Do you see people on the bus? Where do you see people breastfeeding? Is it something that is a norm, or is it something that's an activist movement to breastfeed your baby? Lactation education. Where's the funding for that, and where's it coming from? Is it just hospital, or is it coming from society? Are there grandmas in the neighborhood who walk around and help? Individual experience, again, number 1, 8. Leave policy at the federal, state, and municipal levels. Like, do we just let them figure it out, or do we activate from the bottom up? So what's next? And I'll talk about this in greater detail tomorrow too. We're going to have the hackathon. We're also having a family leave summit. So we're having a lot of individuals that are paid to come by the sponsors. So the sponsors are paying money to come to the hackathon, the name of the fund. And in their money, they have to give us extra money to allow scholarships for people who normally can't come to hackathon on a weekend, who normally can't afford to take work off, who have to travel from the rural areas. So they can give us the rural or the faraway context of what's happening in there, and not just the city people. So we are going to focus on equity, on policy, and on breastfeeding supportive innovations. So not just pump, we're talking about innovations. We're talking about something which I saw at the airport called Peter, which is, they were at our first hackathon. I saw it as I was leaving Logan Airport in Boston. It's a poppable portable tent. It's a modular thing that is by one of the bathrooms that women can, they have a special code if they're a nursing mom, and they can press it and go in. So no one else is going to go in, and it's better than a closet that anyone can sort of pop in. And usually if you have a free dark space in a public area, it's not going to be the cleanest. There are people sleeping there. It's not going to be the best. So this sort of portable thing that can move around as the airport sees fit, if it's better in some other place, it's very easy. That's one of the breastfeeding supportive innovations that we saw, we liked, and we hope to see more. And then there are actual little pieces. Moxley is a company that came to our hackathon as a sponsor. They were interested, and they came out of the D Lab, and they were interested in doing just accessories. They didn't want to get into the hardware of doing a pump, and so they created like a kit that you could buy for low cost of all the accessories that would work with any pump that were more human and more like a natural baby's suckling. So those are the types of things we're hoping to see. So community innovation programs. This is something we're ramping up before our hackathon as well. We're not just starting with the engineers and inviting them. We're starting in Boston, Detroit, New Mexico, and Tupelo, Missouri. We have health innovators who are there, who are spreading the word, getting data, finding out what's happening with breastfeeding in their their communities. Detroit is really interesting. It's a very busy city, and they've put a lot of money in the last 10 years into breastfeeding support in the hospital. So every mother no mother is given formula, which used to happen. Babies were given formula for free at the hospital because the formula companies would give these flashy kits for free. So they stopped that, and they have a lot of support, which is great. But then 2 days later, the women are back in their neighborhoods with people who've never seen someone breastfeed, with their parents who've never breastfed, and they get lost. And so there's a woman in Detroit who's going to the neighborhoods. They find out from the hospital when someone leaves, and they visit them at their home and say, here's what you can do in week 1, here's what you can do in week 2. And because they're in the homes, the neighborhood sees them come. The parents or the boyfriend or the husband, whoever's there, can talk to them as well. It becomes a more normalized thing. So when Kimberly came in with a basket full of popcorn, I'm like, that's sort of like what that woman's doing. It's like that, just like a cheery person coming to your door is so far in America, and it's invaluable. So these community innovation programs, we're trying to foster and give ideas, and all these things come from brainstorming sessions. They come from writing rapid iterations and saying, well, what would you do if you had $1 million on this project, and then filtering down to what you actually can do. The future of breastfeeding, and this comes from the second hackathon too. Hacking Women's Health Collective is using our hackathon, the Main Breast Pump Suck Hackathon, and the Family Leaf Summit to kickstart its future. So it goes everywhere. It's what are we trying to do in terms of policy? What are we going to be able to do in terms of just the hardware? The user experience is really important to us. I'm breaking quickly in case, because I just spoke for a long time. Does anybody want to stop me? No one's being too polite? Okay. Great.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Did you get any feedback? Like, what is the feedback on the first breast pump really being used? The one that's just like
the old-fashioned one?
That's the first one, the 60s.
That was designed at the turn of last century. So that was something that is glass, and it was the first patented one in America. So that was the first time on record we have something that says this is to extract milk from a woman, not a cow. And so then the ones that we see upstairs, and we have some so you can do some hands-on, you can touch them and everything, turn them on. Those are the ones that are available now, but they're not super high tech. But they're literally the pump is literally so similar to how it was. It's just the motor that is lighter than from the 1940s, 1960s. Okay. So, and that's all of our data feedback was from those. Actually, do you mind grabbing a bag of them?
Sure.
Thanks. So we plop them on the table. So what happened in our first hackathon? The very first one that was small and in a room like this. We put posters up. We were told by MIT, should you really use the word suck? We're like, yeah, can we use the word suck? And then we sort of debated whether we could do that or not. They were worried about it being, thank you. See how heavy and see how lovely this is? So this is exactly the experience of home. Things go flying. And they have to wash it and sterilize it. Thank you.
So whoever hasn't seen one, here, so this is the motor. You put this here. Then you put one.
And so yeah, definitely picture holding a baby while you're doing this.
And then you could do both. And this is just one. Okay, so it's just one. No, you put the second one. Okay, so you could do both breasts. And then you have to plug it. Now, okay, so you can listen to it. Vamos conectar.
For example, the first breast pump didn't have a motor, no? So it didn't have a sound.
I will assume. Yeah, you can have a picture of it here. You're right. So the first one was glass, and it was made by like Goodyear. Isn't that lovely? That's right. People hear things in that. Like,
so you're doing and you're doing.
But you're right. So now they also sell handheld pumps that have no mechanism, that you use your hand, but to extract milk from that way, it takes a long time, and you're still awkward, yep, and you can spill things easily, and your hands are doing a lot of things for babies at a time. I'm just going to pass around some of the
how much time? Depends on the person, but it could be like 20 minutes, like 15, 20 minutes.
These are excellent questions. Yeah, ask questions about the breast pumping experience, because these are excellent questions. It varies completely. Sometimes you try to use it. Sometimes you can't pump, but you can feed a baby. Sometimes you can feed a baby, but can't pump. So sometimes it just it's really difficult. And also, the pumping experience isn't the same all day. When you wake up first in the morning, you have your child with you, it might be better. And then when you're at work and you have to just get it done, it might be really worse. And when you have it home, might be different than when you carry around with you. There were so many people who pump while they're driving, so like they pull over, pump on the way home. And so there are these case studies that are really hard to hear, and it can take a couple of years out of someone's life. They can do this for a number of years. And when you have a 6-month-old, this is like 16 times a day. When you have a 1-year-old, maybe once a day. So it's also there's a lot of complex things here, and that's another reason why people, I think, traditionally haven't wanted to teach it, because it is really a complex situation.
But it also depends how you manage. What I used to do, I have times for my baby to breastfeed.
Yep.
So I didn't, it wasn't a free breastfeeding,
yep.
Because I used to work.
Yep.
So I had to choose times, like time. Like I knew that at 6 o'clock he was going to eat, and at 9 o'clock, then 12 o'clock I was at my job.
Yep.
So I had to breast pump.
Yep.
And my body knew like the time I was like
yep.
with milk.
Yeah, especially with someone who's 3 months older and 3 months and older, the baby's on more of a schedule for that, and your body can get used to that. Mm-hmm. And then there are tricks. One of the things that was produced at our hackathon was a way for you to organize your family photos while you're pumping, and so that sort of makes you feel like you're at work, you're pumping, but at least you can in the background, but at least you can do that, and that sort of connects you again with why am I doing this? Why am I in the bathroom pumping? Oh, family photos, you can record little things. Like the reason why I'm pumping is future notes to your child. To create like a little book, a little soundscape to the future child. So that's what helps connect the mother to the pumping experience and can help with milk flow.
It's like in a computer.
So what are people's experiences with ideation and innovation thinking? Have you done brainstorming workshops before? Have you talked about the human interaction component at all?
Es una pregunta. ¿Alguien quiere contestar?
¿Que si hemos hecho eso?
Ajá.
Sí.
Sí. ¿Tú sí? ¿Quieres contar tu experiencia?
¿De qué? ¿De breastfeeding o de?
No, de como las.
Ajá, como.
Ajá.
Before we go into the actual act of coming up with an innovative thinking, designing for breastfeeding or other things, I think it might be a good time to go upstairs and see the movie of the hackathon, so we can do that. And then we'll come down and I'll go through what design thinking mindset is, what is human design components, why are businesses and companies, as well as artists, using this methodology, and why people aren't. So can Lucia do the video?
Sure. So we're doing the hackathon, right?
Yeah, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna go upstairs. We're gonna have a treat.
Popcorn. We're gonna have popcorn.